You would have thought I was gonna let a man named Milton ruin everything that I have. It's not gonna happen.
Let me tell you the exact kind of person that probably shouldn't be on Facebook. I'm not gonna include this person's name because this person is on my friends list, but this is a repost from her where she reposted another friend's status, and I'm gonna read this. This sums it up, she says. Dear everyone who doesn't live in Florida but loves someone who does, here are some things you need to know about hurricanes. Okay, so we're about to get a lesson now, all right? Lesson incoming. They don't come until they come. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. So if you ask us how we are 48 hours before we expect the winds to start, don't be surprised if we tell you we're fine. Please believe us. That's dumb. If somebody told me that that the city that I live in is about to be bombarded with winds and waters in less than 48 hours, I am not going to be fine. But let's continue. We're actively preparing, and we're watching the forecast more closely than you are. But we're truly fine at the moment. Hurricanes are unpredictable. No matter how good the models are, hurricanes often demonstrate a mind of their own. We're always hoping and praying for a turn or wobble that sends the monster further from civilization. But if you ask us what's going to happen 3 or 4 days from now, we honestly don't know for sure, and neither do the meteorologists. An entire state can't evacuate. Everyone packing up, jumping into their cars, and heading north may seem like a great idea. However, the truth is that those of us in safer inland regions generally need to stay put and to reserve the roads, gas, hotel rooms, shelters, plane tickets, etc. for the most vulnerable folks who live on the coast in the storm's path, where evacuation orders exist. Some inland folks may choose to leave, but most of us stay put and follow the instructions of our local governments. We truly appreciate your love and concern, the offers to stay in your homes, etc. Know that the national media is doing a pretty good job of stirring up your anxiety. Our local weather teams are much calmer and more knowledgeable about how the hurricanes affect our area. They are working nonstop to give us updates and telling us to prepare. We trust them. When the tie comes off, the sleeves are rolled up, and we're told to hunker down, we're ready. Your Florida loved ones. P.S. Ask us how we are after it passes. No. Anybody who's ever competed in any type of sport, whether it's basketball, football, or even when it comes to more serious contact sports like boxing and kickboxing and stuff of that nature, all athletes and people who participate in these things will often speak about what is called a healthy level of fear. The healthy level of fear is what keeps a lot of people grounded, but also is able to help them maneuver in a way to where they are operating in the safest way possible to protect themselves and guard themselves. The amount of people that I have seen so cavalierly acting as if this storm was nothing. Oh, it's not the big deal. The news is just sensationalizing it for y'all. Y'all really don't know. We really know because we watch the news here. Well, cool. You got it. You motherfuckers got it. Whatever happened to y'all, happened to y'all. I'm not wasting my prayers on y'all. So, hey, if you want to end up 10 miles down shore, rocking out with the alligators, it's cool. I'm going to let you. I will not send not one single prayer your way. I promise you. Because all of a sudden, when the storm moves further north, they had them people evacuate for nothing. They had them people leave. You ever heard the term better safe than sorry? Whatever the percentage chance is, I would take 100% safe over 90 or 80 or 70% safe any day of the week. Any day of the week. You a fool if you won't. You're a fool if you won't. People like this need to stay off the fucking internet. Why? Because you say this and then they get other people thinking, oh, maybe the evacuation ain't that serious. Maybe we don't need to go north. Maybe we don't need to leave town. Maybe our stuff will be all right. Maybe I won't get smacked upside the head with a fucking stop sign. Maybe some shit won't fly through our windows and put us in danger of killing us or mortally wounding us, right? But hey, we Floridans, we been through this. We know what we talking about, cause I've lived here all my life. Okay, all right, got it. I got it. Not won't send one prayer y'all way, cause y'all got it. No, I'm not gonna ask y'all how y'all doing after the fact, cause y'all good. You good, apparently. Let's continue.
Sorry, I didn't realize the crying updates would already start. I just went around and blessed each and every animal with holy oil.
So many people are specifically concerned and worried about you. So I'm glad to see you. But this storm is coming. And the Tampa mayor is saying that you really should evacuate. Why are you risking by staying?
I've been watching the weather really close. Like I said, I've been, going through this for 42 years as a native Floridian. This is where I plan to be. I got some lights, more battery packs. I have the kayak. I have a life jacket. I have an inflatable unicorn. I have a couple more escape options.
Tropical storm Milton heading right for Florida, expected to be a strong hurricane when it arrives. The latest system expected to make landfall sometime Wednesday.
So I'm in a community in Lakeland, Florida. This is about 25 miles from the coast where the storm came in. And as you can see behind me, this entire mobile home community is flooded. It's about 2 to 3 feet of water. We've got homes behind me, vehicles, and apparently it goes many, many blocks in that direction behind me. You can see some residents back there are stranded. The people in this community told me that they were not instructed to evacuate. And so some people chose to do so and spent the night in local shelters. But other people said, we saw that the storm was going to be bad, but given that the authorities were not telling us that this area would flood so badly, they decided to stay the night. And then only as the storm came in and the water started to rise did they realize how bad it really was. And so the Polk County authorities, you can see some of the sheriff's vehicles here, they have been running boat rescues. They've been running airboats through the blocks of these streets here that are completely submerged in water, trying to get people out of their homes and discover if there are any people still trapped back there. Several residents have said that there are people on their roofs back there, stuck in their homes still, unable to get through the water. One gentleman told us that an elderly man who was sick with cancer died here, but we have not gotten any confirmation of that from the local authorities.
And unfortunately, just like the mayor says, sometimes no matter how hard you try, you just cannot help stupid. I told you all that we will be back here covering this storm just because it's one of my interests, right? When I was a kid, I wanted to be a storm chaser. All right. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a storm chaser. Twister, for those of you that are older and that can remember the first Twister movie that came out, that was one of my all-time favorite movies as a kid. I'll never forget, my father took me to go see that movie when I went to visit him in Chicago. And it was one of the greatest experiences ever. Honestly, I'll never forget it as long as I live. One of the greatest experiences ever. Me and my father didn't have too many interactions, but that was one that I will remember forever. So, as a kid, I wanted to be a storm chaser. I grew up having a fervent and healthy appetite for watching storms, studying their patterns, how they move. I've always been fascinated by it. So, I said all that to say we back here because I said we would be, and we here. So if you don't like this type of content, it's cool. Check out my other videos. But today we're talking about, or right now we're talking about the aftermath of Hurricane Milton that is just totally ravaged Florida. And I believe for the most part that hurricane has moved on. It's moved upwards. It's moved further north or further northeast off, and people are just dealing with tailwinds now, right? Tailwinds, which are somewhere around 25 to 30 mile per hour winds, which, I mean, still, you could still get damaged by that. But for the most part, the storm the worst of the storm is over. However, unfortunately, as you saw at the beginning of this video, you had people talking about they weren't leaving their homes. They don't care. They didn't care what the mayor said. I'm not leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving.
You got a lot of people saying, I've been here all my life. I done been through hurricanes. And when you've been through one hurricane, you've been through them all. Well, that's not necessarily true. This was a Category 5 hurricane, one of the worst in recorded history as it was reported. And unfortunately, in the aftermath of this, there have been deaths. And the death toll has begun, right? But let's watch this small article before we continue this report, I guess.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Coming on the air early this morning to bring you the very latest on Hurricane Milton.
It tore into Florida as a powerful Category 3, of course, adding new misery to that region already left ravaged by Helene. Seen a lot of flooding, a lot of damage overnight, several deaths being reported from tornadoes that were produced by that storm. Right now, more than 3 million people have no power this morning.
We've got a team of correspondents spread out across the state. Al is here, too. He's tracking the very latest. Let's get started with NBC's Tom Yamas. He's in hard-hit Sarasota. He's been covering the storm all night long. Good morning, Tom.
Hey guys, good morning to you. It was a very dangerous and wild night yesterday here in Sarasota. Hurricane Milton making landfall just north of us in Cedar Key. But once that eye passed over us, we felt the backside of that hurricane. Hurricane force winds north of 100 miles per hour. At one point, we couldn't even get a reading of how strong the winds were here because the gauges we were watching had broken. This is just some of the damage we're seeing this morning. And I'll be completely honest with you. We've just ventured out for the first time tonight. This entire area was flooded yesterday. I'd say it was.
Is that an entire dock laying right there? What is that?
From what we saw, 5 to a 6 foot storm surge. But again, we're going to wait for the official records later this morning. It's unclear because it's still dark everywhere in Sarasota of what happened last night and the extent of the damage. But as you guys mentioned at the top of the broadcast, it felt last night like there was nowhere to hide in Florida, whether it be from hurricanes or tornadoes. There was a lot of danger last night, a lot of violence when it came to the weather. People were scrambling, and unfortunately, in some cases, several died.
Yeah, Tom, you, in fact, were one of those people scrambling last night. You've covered many hurricanes. You were standing out in the elements. And there was a moment that was pretty dramatic where you guys just had to kind of take off and take cover. Let's take a quick look at it.
Welcome back to our live coverage of Hurricane Milton. The situation here in Sarasota is starting to turn dire. At first, we had, okay, we gotta go.
Tom, you've covered hurricanes again. Moments like that can get frightening. Projectiles flying, all kinds of things. Tell us what was going on.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. We had just started reporting on the eye, and within the eye, it's very calm. I mean, it felt like any Saturday night in Sarasota in the summer. I mean, there was no rain, there was no wind. And then our meteorologist, Bill Cairns, told me, look, be careful because it's going to quickly change in the backside of that hurricane. Once it whips around, it's going to be the strongest part of the hurricane. And Hodens, again, I got to tell you, we were out there. 1 minute, it was calm. The next minute, the wind just suddenly picked up. And as we came out of a break, we started to report, started to anchor that portion of the show. A transformer behind us exploded. I didn't see it. I saw the flash, but the crew in front of us, I sort of saw their reaction, and it was time to go in. Everybody was okay. Everybody was fine. We broadcast the entire night from inside of a concrete structure. It was a 5-floor garage where we were able to stay up for 4 hours, anchoring throughout the storm. We anchored the landfall, and then after that, and again, everyone was fine. It was just in that moment that it was a little bit dangerous. I got to be honest with you. Around that time, there were several people who were out in their trucks, and they were driving around in the eye, having a good time, doing donuts. I mean, being incredibly reckless. And then at that moment,
Humans. He just said that people were outside in the eye of the storm, riding around in their trucks doing donuts in the street, y'all. Listen, I get it, okay? I get that I've never lived in a tropical state. I get that I've never actually lived through a hurricane itself before. But if the mayor tells me to leave or die, there's no chance that I'm about to risk my family's lives and continue to stay here. And there's certainly not a chance that I'm going to be outside in the middle of the street doing donuts in my truck during the eye of the storm.
Some of them were still on the road, so I hope they were able to find, get to higher ground, or at least get to a place where they were safe, because the eye, from the moment the eye hit to the backside of that hurricane was, like I said, within minutes it got incredibly dangerous.
I know, it's so eerie that in the eye of a storm, it is totally quiet. Like Tom was saying, like a normal Wednesday afternoon, and then all of a sudden the backside comes and hits. All right, Tom, thank you.
Wow. All right. Well,
I wonder how much Tom getting paid to be out there in these storms. I do want to know. I would love to know how much Tom is getting paid. Tom is getting a bag. Tom is definitely getting a bag. Listen, I would want Tom's job. I'm not going to lie to y'all. That would be fun to me. That's because I'm a little slightly crazy. So I would want Tom's job, because it just seems like it would be fun to be out there reporting on this thing. I'm pretty sure it wasn't fun for him, especially when those winds kicked up in the moment. I have experienced something like that before, and it's terrifying. I would never want to be. But here's the one thing that I did not expect from this, right? We knew the hurricane was coming. What we did not know was that the hurricane was bringing with it tornadoes. So not only did you have to watch out for the surging hurricane and the crazy mile per hour winds and the water that brought, but then you turn around and you had to worry about, if it wasn't the hurricane you worry about, then you had to worry about the tornadoes, they said. So you have people out here dying from the tornadoes if the hurricane didn't kill you, which is why they told y'all to fucking leave. I heard at least 2 tornadoes that were spotted, that hit the ground, that were accompanied by this hurricane. Man, it's terrifying. I know it's terrifying. When that sky darkens on you and them winds pick up, it's a terrifying situation to be in.
we want to go about 15 miles to the north of Sarasota, where Dylan is this morning. Bradenton, Florida. Dylan, what are you seeing there?
Hey, good morning, guys. You know, to play off of what Tom was just saying, we also were in the eye of the storm last night, and, you know, it went from bad to calm to worse. I mean, the backside of the storm hit with such strong winds. I ended up spending most of the night sleeping on the floor in the bathroom because I was worried my windows were going to blow out. Fortunately, we were in a hotel where a lot of people evacuated their homes to get to because it was a concrete structure and because the windows were rated for winds up to a Category 5 hurricane. So the windows did not blow out, but I will say it was scary last night when you're hearing the winds howling outside, and now getting out this morning and driving around. This is not far from where we reported from yesterday morning in Bradenton, and a hard-hit area from Hurricane Helene. They just start to clean up, and then the storm surge comes back in. In Sarasota, we reported a storm surge of about 10 feet. All of that lifted all of the debris, and then on the backside of the storm, where the eye wall came through, winds gusted up to nearly 100 miles per hour once again, and then we started to see the trees coming down. The tops of these palm trees were just sheared off, creating even more damage for these poor folks to have to clean up and come back to their homes after a serious 1-2 punch. Now, we were out this morning. We saw nothing but the sheriffs driving around kind of searching to make sure everybody was okay. They said for residents, stay off the road, especially until the sun comes back out so that they can do their job. And then you can see once the sun comes out just how bad the damage is, guys.
Look, what she just said... She just said that the tops of the palm trees, you can see one, there's a top of the palm tree sitting right there. My question to y'all is, who would voluntarily live in these states? I understand moving can be a hectic ordeal, but I can't imagine, and for those of you that have actually picked up your lives and moved to Florida, who would willingly and want to stay? I understand water is blue and it's beautiful. I get it. If anybody gets it, it's me. I understand wanting to be near the coast, wanting to live near the coast, but with hurricane season happening every single year, who would want to worry and constantly worry about this every single year? Now, my question is, how are they going to recover Because what happens is you have all these homes that have been damaged, roofs ripped off, right? You have walls that have caved in from the terrible support structure that has been damaged by these hurricanes. And then you have people, which I'm sure, come flooding in talking about with their insurance claims, talking about, we need y'all to rebuild my house. Well, man, we got 1,400 cases of this. We got 3,000 cases of houses that need to be rebuilt and repaired. So you know the money is not there for that. So I'm just wondering, why would you ever want to live anywhere near this type of weather pattern that is going to happen consistently every single year? It's called hurricane season. Season, as if it's coming in just like winter and summer. It's a whole season dedicated to your particular neck of the woods every single year. No way in hell I'm dealing with that. And before we get out of here, I want to show y'all one more thing that I found interesting. My wife sent me this, and it was a diagram of what a Category 5 hurricane looks like.
Imagine this. Imagine 3 feet of storm surge right here. Now, if this amount of water catches you by surprise, it's too late to evacuate. Cars are floating around and floating away. There's large objects in here that could knock things down with a battering ram-like force. Now, there's no way, again, to evacuate with this kind of storm surge.
Okay, there's two videos. This one was about, they're basically showing you what happens when the water surges and how high this is. Mind you, this is just 3 feet right here, and it's already looking, this is bad.
But we know there's going to be places with more than 3 feet. Imagine 6 feet of storm surge. Now this completely floods out the first floors of homes and businesses, and the only way to escape that is to move to the higher floor of a building. Now unfortunately, there are going to be places that get more than 6 feet of storm surge flooding. Imagine this, 9 feet and even beyond of flooding, of inundation. This is practically
9
not
feet of water.
survivable. So please follow the advice of your local officials when they ask you to evacuate. And if you have any questions about what evacuation zone you're in, if you need to go and or where you need to go to Florida.
That is terrifying. That is terrifying. One more.
And the damage caused in those categories is kind of predictable. So let me show you. Let's start off with a Category 1 storm. And the damage here, not too bad. A couple of shingles fall off. You can have some palm fronds bending in the wind, but everything basically remains intact. Category 2, that's where you really start to feel it. Look at the windows of the house. They can be hit from debris from the outside and already start breaking in a Category 2. Your trees are significantly bent over in the wind, and the siding of the house itself can break, flapping there in the wind, adding to those eerie noises inside. Category 3. I've heard only a Category 3, but it's not only anything except really bad news. In a Category 3, you can have the door of the house blown in because the winds get so strong. You can have the roof of the house start to flap up and down in the wind because it can lift off those weak points, and a lot of those trees start to fall. Category 4, the damage is even worse. You get most trees falling, most of your windows breaking, most of your shingles fly away, and then Cat 5 is as high as the category scale goes. By Cat 5, no shingles remain anywhere nearby. The holes in the roof get so big that the walls of the house start to fall because they're not attached to anything anymore. There won't be any trees up in the neighborhood. That's just catastrophic damage. But again, that's just from the wind, and there are other impacts from hurricanes, and they all vary through the season. And the damage...
Yeah, so I thought that was very, very interesting and crazy diagram. Shout out to technology, right? But, so if you were wondering, that is what it's like to be in the midst of any of these type of tropical storms. From Category 1 all the way to Category 5. I would not want to be anywhere near all of them. Shout out to people that have survived, that have been able to survive this. And certainly condolences to anyone who has lost someone during this storm. But for those of you that were too stubborn to move and to leave and suffered catastrophic damages to either yourself or your home, you know, you just you want to pray for those people, but sometimes you can't pray for stupid. Sometimes you just got to let people just go through it and endure it, because you know you heard people saying all the time, "We've been through this before. This ain't new to us. This ain't new to us." Well, that's not what they said. They said that this was a one-of-a-kind storm, and it hasn't happened in the history of that state. So you can play chicken, and you can play chicken with your life if you want to. But if it was me, my family and I would have been up and out of there, especially if we had somewhere else to go or some other relative to stay with. But listen, that's it for this video. I thought that covering this was interesting, and hopefully you all did too. Listen, I'll see y'all in the next one. If you know anybody or if you have family that lives in this state, definitely heart goes out to y'all and prayers to you and yours. And I'll see you in the next one, y'all. Later.